Hey everybody, welcome back to Small Talk Japan. On this show, we talk about all things Japan in English. My name is Mitch, and I'm here with
Josh.
And we got a great show for you today. We're going to talk about a man who died in Japanese police detention, which is not good news, but it is very concerning, and it's something that we really want to talk about at the beginning of the show. We're going to talk about how a major defense policy shift is happening in the Japanese government with their eyes on China. We're also going to talk about how Japan is intending to turn back their policy on nuclear power. And then we're also going to talk about how the Japanese domestic trips and actually international trips are forecast to return to somewhat of their pre-pandemic levels. Roll that intro. So you have a perm.
I do.
You have a perm. I don't know. Guys that get perms, I don't know how I feel about that. I shouldn't really talk shit because one of my best friends in America's father has a perm, and if he sees this, he'll be really pissed off at me. But like, I don't know. Guys that get perms, I don't know. Don't know how I feel about that.
What do you think of my perm?
It's a perm. Every time a guy gets a perm, I just look at it and I'm just like, okay, it's a guy with a perm. Like, I don't really have an opinion on it. It's kind of like my staff. Every time we get new Japanese staff, the very first fucking thing that they always do is they dye their hair or they bleach their hair blonde. Every fucking time. Every fucking time I get new Japanese staff, they're like, what are the dress code rules here? And I'm like, explaining everything. I'm like, hair color can be anything as long as it's natural hair color. So no green, no blue, no pink. And they're like, gotcha. And then like 2 weeks later, they show up to work and they're like, blonde. And I'm like, well, you did it too. Okay, I see.
Yeah, I mean, are you really one to talk though?
No, that's what I'm saying. It's my thing. Don't take it from me. What are you guys doing? Should I show up with a perm next week and be like, hey, Josh, what's up, perm buddy?
Yeah, I don't think you would look good with a perm.
No one looks good with a perm. I'm just kidding. I just don't know. I just don't know how I feel about guys with perms. It's just like, I just look at them like, because a lot of people spend money to straighten their hair when they have wavy or curly hair. And then you're off spending money to curl your whatever.
Grass is always greener, Mitch.
Or more permed on the other side. So let's start the show with something serious. So this is actually a story that's got me kind of pissed off. So you've got an Aichi man who died while in detention in central Japan. Basically, he's this man in his 40s, and he gets he has some schizophrenia according to his father, and he has some mental illness, and he also has diabetes. And while it's unclear why he was arrested, it doesn't seem like he did anything other than just like pique the suspicion of some nosy Obachan or something. Like, he was put in restraints in jail. And then, so there's two stories about this. I'm going to read you the two stories. One from the 16th, December 16th, one from the 17th. It says, while it is said that the man refused the meals offered to him, it is suspected that the police station personnel did not take necessary measures, such as ensuring he received nutrition. Multiple staff members and a senior official at the police station are also suspected of having assaulted the man after restraining him. In connection with the case, surveillance camera footage also showed multiple staff members appearing to assault the man. According to a source, a staff member in charge explained, "I got irritated as he wouldn't listen to what I said." Obviously, if you have mental illness on top of that diabetes, this would be a difficult, person to deal with. But this is more of a medical issue than it is a police issue.
Right.
The man was physically restrained for over 140 hours, and as some of the staff said that they believed it was long and excessive in response to a probe by the Aichi Prefectural Police. It said that they knew that the man was diabetic, but did not have him receive a medical examination or give him medicine. The man's cause of death was kidney failure, which means, from the diabetes. Prefectural police have assigned a around 40-member team to look into the incident. So that's on the 16th. Okay.
Yeah. Didn't it also say one staff said that they forgot he had diabetes or something?
No, it says, they not just one person, they all forgot about it. They're just like, oh, right, he had diabetes. Shit.
Yeah. Oops.
So, I mean, this is all supposed. This is all being reported. We don't know anything. Nothing's factual yet. So this is just allegedly stuff. Okay. So allegedly. And then on the 17th, it's being reported that the death of the man held in a central Japan police station has revealed he was left naked and bound with his head in a toilet bowl, and a senior official is among those suspected of assaulting him, a source close to the Aichi Prefectural Police has told the Minami Shimbun.
How does it even escalate to that?
Well, I don't know. It's one thing. Okay, there's multiple layers that we need to unpack with this. One, if you're in detention in Japan, it's kind of like a human rights violation to begin with. They can, if you're charged with 3 counts of something, they can arrest you in serial. So they'll arrest you and hold you for a maximum of, I forgot how many days it is. It's like 30 days or something like that. And then if they don't charge you or like prosecute you during that time, they can release you and then rearrest you the second you walk out of the jail for the next charge in the line of charges that you have. So the cops can just keep piling on charges, never taking you to court for any of them and just keeping you in infinite detention. So right away, that's fucked up. In Japan, you need to get on this and fix this. This needs to be updated to be the rest of the world. This needs to be like, this is constantly being criticized by major international organizations, including the UN. So that's one. Okay. Another thing is that when you're in detention, they can hold you and interrogate you and basically like convince you to admit you're guilty without you having any access to a lawyer. So basically you're in captivity and you have everybody against you. And if you don't have strong mental fortitude to last through, because that's basically torture.
Right.
If you can't last through, it could be up to months of the psychological torture that they'll inflict on you. Then some people will just admit guilty when they're not guilty just to get out of the torture. And there's lots of documentaries about this, how people who did not do crimes admitted to crimes. And then later on, science proved that these people couldn't have possibly done these crimes.
All right.
And then the police are like, oh, we did nothing wrong because they said that they did the crime. And you're like, yeah, you tortured them to fucking admit it. It's totally screwed up. So this guy, he goes to jail, and then his father finds out that he's in jail. He was in jail for 5 days, and it's like they called him on, I think it was day 4, maybe day 3, and then they told his dad, "Hey, your son's in jail," and then the next day they called him, "Hey, your son's dead." And that was it. So this needs to get fixed right fucking now. This needs to stop. You guys need to update your court system, make it modern. It's like barbaric. Yeah, it needs to be updated right now.
I mean, like America's whole.
I mean, at least the cops just shoot you on the street. They don't have to go through all this torture of being in jail. America, do not compare anything to America to prove your point. America's so fucked up on so many levels.
I was just gonna say America's fucked up, but like, I don't know. If these kinds of things happen in America, then there are going to be riots in the streets and stuff like that. But in Japan, it's like it just doesn't change.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, these kinds of stories just pop up and. That's it.
They need anyway. So it's still a developing story. We'll report on this more when we get more information on it. But as of right now, it just seems like this man was, this mentally ill man with diabetes was just kind of tortured in jail and left to die is what's being reported. Again, nothing's been confirmed yet. But if that's the case, then I think that these people who are perpetrated this crime need to go to jail. They need to go to jail. They need to do hard time. Yeah. I mean, that's just murder. So anyway, shifting from police to teachers.
Yeah, another thing that needs to change in Japan. Japan's teachers battle for change, and they're battling for change against basically like their workload, the number of hours that they have to work and stuff like that. Yeah. Because teachers in Japan, they don't just teach their class and check papers and go home and stuff like that. They have like a load of other responsibilities that oftentimes. They have to go in hours before school starts, and then they have to stay until midnight a lot of the times. So it says here that teachers say that they're reaching the breaking point, and some have challenged the culture through lawsuits. One teacher, in his last diary entries, Japanese teacher Yoshio Kuro, lamented workdays that started early could last until nearly midnight, and then 2 months later he suffered from karoshi, which is
death by overwork. Yeah,
and it says that, like, what do you call it? A 2018 OECD survey found Japanese middle school teachers work 56 hours a week versus an average of 38 hours in most developed countries. But this doesn't take into account the amount of overtime hours that they have to work.
Whenever you see hours worked reported in Japan, consider it like 25% less than the actual figure.
Yeah.
Because in almost all sectors, and this is it's not a bug, it's a feature. The reason why this exists in Japan, the reason why there's so much overwork and underreported overwork is just because there's not enough people in the country to do the work that's necessary. I mean, that is honestly the problem. And I've been talking about this on the show for a long time. Immigration is one great way to fix this going forward. But while we don't have good immigration here, basically the only two solutions is immigration, automation. That's basically it, right? Technology or more people from other places. or you keep working your workers forever and ever and ever. And the thing is if you look at the economy, when was the economy doing really, really well? When we had a fuck ton of little kids coming up through the school system and then becoming adults and entering the economy and, growing the economy. You're not going to do that with a shrinking population. So that's what it is.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it even says here that the one probe by a union affiliated think tank showed teachers work on average 123 hours of overtime each month, which pushes their weekly workload well beyond the karoshi line, which is 80 hours a week. And later in the article, it talks about how like being a teacher is considered like a sacred job, and that they're kind of like pressured into not recording their overtime hours or how many hours they're actually working, because they kind of say like, oh, you should be doing this like for the kids. This is a sacred job. You should be putting yourself and your family second, and like not take into account how many hours you're working, all that. And that's just straight up killing some people.
So on this, I want to make two comments. One, I want to talk about like how to fix this. Okay, the way that you fix this is that you start cutting out things from the school. I mean, that's honestly what they have to do. One of the big reasons why the teachers have to work so long isn't because that they're doing anything spectacular in the classroom or like writing textbooks or anything. They're just doing a lot of bullshit jobs. Like, for example, almost every single teacher is required to like lead a club activity.
Yeah.
And another thing that they're supposed to do is like, I'm sorry, but the teachers are not responsible for the raising of the children outside of school. Having the children, I mean, I don't know. Maybe you guys can comment this below, but there's a practice in Japan where the teachers go around to all the houses of the children that they teach, and they meet the parents for like an hour or two every single year to check up on their learning environment and things like that. And I don't think that necessarily should be the homeroom teacher's responsibility. If you guys want to do that, hire staff to do that. Don't just like pile that on to the teacher's responsibility on top of all the other things that they have to do. And the second thing that I want to talk about has nothing to do with that. It has to do with a conversation that I had with ALTs in the ALT Facebook group, which if you want to see a cesspool of feeling sorry for yourself and bitching and complaining by people who don't know anything, that's the place to be. And I know that some of the ALTs in Japan are fans of this show, and if you are, I think you're probably not the type of ALT that I'm about to mention. But one of the comments that I saw the other day in that group was, like, I'm an ALT and I can't afford to eat. And I was like, what? I was like, ALTs make almost the same amount as like real teachers. And I'm going to say that, real teachers. Because ALTs, I mean, every situation is different, but on average, an ALT works around, 35 to 40 hours a week. And then they don't see the hours before the ALT arrives and the hours after the ALT goes home, where those teachers are working really, really, really hard. And so so I'm not saying that you should be paid less or more, or teachers should be paid less or more. I'm not saying that. But if you're going to say, I don't get paid as much as a normal teacher, you're also not doing the same work.
Right.
Nowhere close to the same work. And it takes a real like willful ignorance of the situation for an ALT to try to compare themselves to a normal teacher. And I made that comment, and it was just like, there's that joke. It's like who would win, like you versus like 1,000 ducks or something like that. There's like a joke like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. Do you think if you fought like a duck that's 1,000 feet tall or 1,000 ducks, which one would you have?
I think you're saying like, which would you rather fight, a horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses? Maybe
that's it. Whatever. But that's what it felt like. It felt like all these attacks that made no sense were just being like flung at me, and I'm just sitting there. I'm like, this is just, it's not painful, it's just slightly annoying. And then like I just turned off notifications from the thread. I was just like, no, I don't want to deal with this. But anyway, if you're an ALT out there and you're watching this show, just understand that the teachers at the school work very, very hard. They're not all dedicated saints, but they work very, very hard. And so just understand that.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing that I just wanted to comment, like you mentioned that it's not the teacher's responsibility to kind of like watch over the children's upbringing and stuff like that. And I was surprised when I read the article. It said that a lot of the times it's the teacher's responsibilities to go to like police stations and stuff like that to apologize for when like kids get in trouble and stuff like that. Like if there are kids causing trouble in the middle of the night at a park, a lot of times it's the teachers that have to go to the police station or something and apologize.
There's also cases where parents will come, like if a kid is like gets into a fight outside of school or does something bad outside of school, the parents will come and complain to the teacher, like, why aren't you raising my child right? Like the burden of responsibility is just in a different like place.
Yeah. But the other side of it, you also mentioned, is automation too. There are a lot of inefficiencies in the work in schools and stuff like that. I'm sure there's a ton of paperwork.
There's a fuck ton of stupid paperwork, but I've said it before. Like during the economic downturn in 2008, the Japanese government decided to like buy 55 or 65 inch 1080p screens from the Japanese screen makers, TV makers, and put them in every classroom across the country. And one of the teachers that I know, she used this giant 65 inch black box in her room to tape papers to. And I was just like, okay. So anyway, but yeah, that's one thing is just hiring more staff, obviously. Another thing is reducing their responsibilities to a workable level. And another thing is funding education better. That just needs to happen. Speaking of funds, we're going to go to a contentious new major defense policy shift that is happening in Japan. So Japan, if you didn't know this, it's written into their constitution, because America wrote this into their constitution when America wrote their constitution, that they can only have a defense force. They can't have an offensive military force, which I honestly don't know what that means.
We have to stay here. We can't go to other countries. That's it.
Like what is that? Like, it doesn't. Anyway, like, your bullets can only deflect bullets. I mean, like, what is it? What is, like, what? Anyway. Japan's controversial major defense policy shift to obtain an enemy-based striking capability underscores that the Asian country has become seriously wary of China's possible use of military force against Taiwan, security experts say. Now, if you guys haven't been following up on the outlandishness of the Chinese military, what they've been doing, and I don't know if there's actual leadership behind this, or if these guys are just doing this, because Xi does not seem to be in control anymore. He just seems to be like, like the king that no one will talk to because he keeps shooting the messenger. But they're doing things like, like there'll be boats, or like there'll be like, for example, spy planes where they're just like flying around in international space. Okay. And then like they'll scramble Chinese jets that will like, seriously, they'll like go too close to the American jets, like on purpose, and to try to harass the American jets. And the thing is like, that's not a good idea, because that could easily spark a hot war quickly between two nuclear armed nations. So it doesn't really seem like there's like big brain leadership behind this. It just seems like there's saber rattling that's happening within the Chinese military forces. And that's kind of spilling over to the Sea of Japan. And there's a lot of, thoughts, and like there's a lot of, chatter about, China seeing what's happening in Ukraine and thinking, oh, let's go take that Taiwan island that we've been wanting for all this time. Because they got Hong Kong through peaceful means, and then went back on all of their promises. And then now they're looking at Taiwan. And the thing is like, the world can't let Taiwan fall into China's hands. And it's just because of that one company that makes all those little chips. We can't let China have them. And so basically the whole world knows that they have to protect that little tiny island that's right next to China. And Japan is not dumb. They know that if there is a war in the Pacific, that this is going to be a huge staging ground. And they know that this is, if they're going to be prepared for this, because, the best way to win a war is to never enter the war, right? To just have the threat of violence, the threat of force, and then the other side just not do the thing that you don't want them to do. Right, that's the whole idea of the nuclear umbrella.
That would be the best case scenario.
Right, that's the whole idea of the nuclear umbrella. We all have nukes, so it's the end of the world if any of us do anything stupid. Yeah. So that's why all of the wars that you've seen since nukes became a thing have been between a nuclear armed country and a non-nuclear armed country, or two non-nuclear armed countries.
Yeah, that reminds me of when was it, like a couple of years ago or something? There was a false message sent to everyone in Hawaii.
Yeah, in Hawaii, your favorite line. Yeah, and people were jumping down sewer drains and stuff like that. It wasn't a false message. It was a glitch in the system. And the nuclear, like, this is not a test. There is a nuke coming into Hawaii right now. Please, seek cover.
But even though it said seek cover, like the general idea was like, everyone's basically fucked. You're all going to be gone.
What are you going to do? I mean, you're on Hawaii. Jump in the ocean, I guess. True lifestyle. So what's happening in Japan is that they authorize the spending package. I forgot how much it is. It's like maybe it's not in this article. It's in like the hundreds of billions of dollars, and they're going to be buying Oh, here it is, $315 billion US dollars. Some of the things that they're going to do is they're going to buy Tomahawk missiles from the United States. So we're happy about that because those are fun to sell, right? But what they're saying is that they need the capability to, if let's say China is launching attacks against Japan from a base in China, Japan is saying we should have the ability to strike back against that base, at least. Not invade the country and do whatever and occupy or anything like that, but at least the ability to strike back upon the staging place that the enemy forces are coming from.
Right.
I'm not saying that China is an enemy. I'm just saying if that happens, okay? And then so one of the things that the reason why this is so controversial is because, here we go, former Vice Admiral Ito said that the possession of a counterstrike capability is categorized as a natural right of self-defense and does not mean that Japan will abandon its exclusive self-defense policy with which the nation has stuck to for the last 75 years. Other analysts have voiced concerns about whether Japan could carry out counterstrikes in a manner that would not be seen as preemptive attacks, while Japan's opposition bloc has requested Kishida's government to draw a sharp line between the two. So that's where this gets contentious. Is like, okay, now that we have an ability, once we have ability to attack a base,
counterattack,
a counterattack, do we then use mental gymnastics to say, well, they haven't attacked us yet, but they're going to, so we should just preemptively attack them to defend ourselves? That's when this gets muddy. And that's why they want real clarification on what these are going to be used for. Okay. Now, speaking of actual super crazy, if we're really going to all out war.
Yeah, if we really want to have a chance, we don't need just a defense force.
We don't need tomahawks.
Yeah, we need some giant robots. But unfortunately, Japan is no longer the holder of the largest
giant
robot statue. Not a real one, just a statue. So, Guinness grants glory to Grandizer. I'm not familiar with this anime, but apparently this is an older anime similar to Gundam that didn't get as popular in the US, but for some reason got very popular in a lot of other countries like Saudi Arabia. So recently added to the Boulevard World Amusement Park / entertainment complex in Saudi Arabia's capital of Riyadh, the Grandizer statue, which we have a picture of
which this is amazing.
Here. Okay, yeah, right here. They made a statue that is 33.7 meters tall, or 110.6 feet for all you Americans out there.
Freedom units.
But it's actually not to scale, but it's larger than it was in the manga and anime, which is a strange choice. Why not just make it the same official height? It's 3.7 meters taller. And yeah, it's much bigger than the second largest one. The closest contender is Fukuoka's 20.5 meter Gundam, followed by Tokyo's 19.7 meter Unicorn Gundam. So,
which I gotta tell you guys, those ones in Fukuoka and in Tokyo, they're fucking massive. Like, this doesn't really look that big, but the ones in Japan, which are much small, not much smaller, but are considerably smaller, are huge. When you look at them, you're like, damn, those are huge. But they also move. So I don't know if this one moves or not. I mean, they don't move like around. They just like reposition, I should say. And it takes a long time.
Well, maybe they're actually fully functional. Japan is
fully functional. Yeah. Do you know that that's like a line from Star Trek?
No.
Data says I am fully functional.
Okay.
Anyway.
But anyways, yeah, it is the world's largest metal sculpture of a fictional character.
The things that we do instead of fighting world hunger. So I was actually supposed to say this before you talked about the robot, but getting back to war. So the kanji for war, the kanji for war, sen, was chosen as this year's kanji for 2022, which is kind of sad. And the reason why it was picked is because of obviously the fighting in Ukraine, but also because of Abe's assassination and kind of like rising tensions around the world right now. And so senso is the word for war, but the first kanji alone could be representative of war. And so that was picked as this year's kanji, which is kind of shitty.
Yeah, it's sad.
And which is really, if you want to have a contrast, last year's kanji contenders were all to do with the Olympics. So it went from like, yay, Olympics to War, motherfucker. War. Let's do one more serious, not so serious story, but basically this is in a story that no one is shocked by. Literally no one is shocked by this. Japan has decided to turn back to nuclear power to power its country because there is no other option. Literally no other option. I mean, I guess you could keep burning plastic, but that's still not enough. No, seriously. Like, okay, so after 3/11, they were like, oh my God, nuclear power is scary, because, you know, it is, especially if you don't do it right, especially if you're like, let's build a nuclear power plant below the tsunami line, and also let's put the batteries down really low so they can get all wet and so the thing will fail. That's, you know, let's not do stuff like that. But so anyway, it says quake-prone Japan, which previously said it had no plans to build new reactors, will now seek to replace decommissioned ones and extend the lifespan of others, the industry ministry said. You know, nuclear, if you want to fight climate change, if you want to have a greener future, nuclear power is one of the legs of that future. And if you do not accept that, then you aren't serious about climate change. That's the bottom line. That's all I have to say about that. No one's surprised by this.
Yep.
Actually, no, I have to go to mine, then you do yours, because that one's the best story. That's a thumbnail story, probably. Okay.
Oh, we didn't look at the video, though.
Oh, shit. Oh, God, I forgot about this. Okay, so going back to the robot, okay, in, where was it, Saudi Arabia?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing. There are anime-obsessed countries out there that are just, like, you just don't even know. And there is this anime from, I think, the 70s called Saint Seiya. And there was a mural of it. I don't even know if it's official, but there's a mural of it in Mexico. Check this out. This is just nuts. So it starts here and it looks very, very like, you know, that era of Showa era manga or anime. The thing is this thing, as giant as it is, just keeps fucking going.
Yeah, I started watching this video you sent to me. I was like, okay, and it's done. Oh, no, it's still going.
And then
it's still going.
I learned from Ricky, who will join us on the podcast hopefully next year, that in Mexico they are super fond of some very specific anime. They're still fucking going. Some very specific animes in Mexico, and I don't know why I didn't think of that. I mean, now that I think about it in retrospect, it's like duh.
Yeah.
But I was just like, I don't know. When I first saw it, I was just like, dude, I never considered that anime would be huge in Mexico.
Yeah, my roommate when I lived in Tokyo, he's from Argentina.
Yeah.
And he said that like he and all his friends are really big anime fans. And he was into like all these anime that I'd never heard of, but he's like, yeah, in my country we have like dub versions of these shows and they're so popular. And he actually studied to become a manga artist.
I really want to see a Japanese Showa era manga dubbed into Spanish. That would be the most fucking hilarious thing I've ever seen. Or German. That would even be better. Okay, since anime to anime, I'm just going to quickly talk about this story because it's not really that exciting. Basically, domestic trips forecast 72% of pre-pandemic levels in Japan as people say, fuck the pandemic and get back to traveling. And then there's also a lot of people going out of the country with popular destinations being Seoul, Honolulu, and Bangkok.
Honolulu?
I don't know anything about that place. Okay, now let's get back to anime because this is actually, I don't know how I feel about this because like, well, I know how I feel about this. It's like, I don't really give a fuck, but you have something to say about this.
Yeah, so Ash and Pikachu are stepping down as the main characters of the Pokemon anime.
That's written in such a weird way. It's like
Yeah,
they decided like we're no longer in this.
They had a press conference.
Like we're stepping down. No.
Yeah, but I mean, Pokemon started 25 years ago, 1997, I think that's right. And so the final chapter of the anime is, I think it came out today, actually, the final episode. But then they're going to have like a little bit of a follow-up special thing in later in December.
Wasn't there a movie where Pikachu said, I love you to Ash, and it was like everybody cringed at it?
Yeah.
It turned out to be like a dream sequence or something.
Probably. Like, I mean, I'm not the biggest Pokemon fan or anything. Like, I haven't watched the show since I was a kid.
Yeah, you know the names of all like most of the characters in Japanese as well. You're so weird.
Only the first generation, because that was when I was a kid.
Okay.
But
I'm not stealing your thunder. Go for it, dude.
But when I heard that, what do you call it? Because I don't know how, you probably don't know anything about Pokemon, right? Like,
I know. All I know is that when I was watching the video on Twitter, when they were like announcing, or then they're like going over like the 25 years of Pokemon history,
yeah.
I just knew one of the songs from that video was like one of the stages in the Nintendo 64 Smash Brothers. That's all that had nostalgia wise for me. I was like, Smash Brothers. And then the song ended and went on to a different song. I was like, and it's over. Like that was it.
Feelings over.
That's it.
But I mean, the whole point of like Ash's story is that he always wanted to be
Isn't he from like Stocks City or something like that?
Pallet Town.
Pallet Town.
Yeah. He always wanted to be like the best
The very
Pokemon
best.
champ, right?
The best.
That no one ever was. Yeah, anyways. But every season he like competes in a new region's like not world, but like regional championship basically.
Okay.
And he always loses every year. He never wins.
Why do people watch this shit?
Because it's supposed to be like I think originally it was supposed to be like, even if you lose, you got to just pick yourself back up and try again kind of meaning.
Is this why the population in Japan has been on the decline? Because they're just like, you can lose, it's fine. And we're just like, well, just don't try. Fuck it.
Well, he always tries and he always gets into like the top.
But they're seeing the results. They're like, well, fuck it. If I try all that whole season just to lose.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway, sorry. So continue.
So like I guess I didn't watch it, but the previous season, he became the
Number one.
seasonal or the regional champion.
Okay.
And then this season, he was able to compete in like the world championships of Pokemon or whatever.
And he's going to fucking lose.
And he won.
Okay. So
it's already over.
so they're like, goodbye, you're done.
So yeah, now he's done. He's officially like the greatest Pokemon master who's still officially 10 years old.
What's his Japanese name?
Satoshi.
Okay. Anyway.
Very standard Japanese
Very
name.
standard. It's like Jack. Anyway.
Yeah. But yeah, like actually I did watch the last scene basically of the most recent thing just to see like kind of get that nostalgic feeling.
Did you get teary-eyed?
No, but it did feel very nostalgic. Like they did have a lot of like cuts to the first season and stuff like that. And I was like, oh yeah, I remember watching that when I was
Was
like,
it all like square 4:3
yeah,
ratio?
There were like 6 pickles on the screen. But from next, like they had a little teaser trailer for like the next season.
Okay, so before you show it, how do you no wait, show it first and then
Okay, there are 2 new protagonists. And their names are Liko and Roy. I don't know. I mean, I don't really feel anything about it.
look, I don't care that like the boy became a girl. I don't care about that. Just look at them. They're so forgettable. Like before you put this on the screen, I had already forgotten what they look like. Pikachu is recognizable from like 1,000 like miles away. You look at Pikachu, you know it's Pikachu. It stands out from all the other Pokemon too, because they're all kind of average looking weird things. What the hell is that? It's green with red eyes. It looks sick.
What, the cat thing?
Yeah, the cat thing. Even a Meowth would have been a better choice.
Well, I mean, these are the 3 starters from the next game that just came out.
Whatever. The kids will probably eat it up.
Yeah, I mean, like the new game came out recently, and like all the kids are getting it.
Whatever. I have no feelings for this. I knew that there would be a lot of you out there that did, so we put it in the show. But whatever. I mean, whatever.
Well, I do have a little bit of that like nostalgic little tinge in my heart. Like, oh, his story is finally finished. He's still 10 years old, 25 years later.
Well, I mean, that's the Bart Simpson thing, right? Or like what is that stupid Japanese anime that comes on? Sazai-san, yeah. No one ages.
Yeah.
Thousands of years later, they're still the same age.
Yeah.
Whatever. Look, hey, if you're a Pokemon fan out there, let us know your thoughts on the 2 new characters. I don't want to shit on them. If you guys like them, tell us why you like them. If you don't like them, tell us why you don't like them. And also, since this is going to be our last... What?
I was going to say, also, let me know if you bought the game, which starter you picked. I don't know their names, but I like that derpy-looking fire dinosaur thing.
Derpy-looking fire dinosaur thing.
Yeah, he is.
Is this Scarlet and Violet? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
The only reason why I know that is because the little kids say it. I don't know what it means, but I'm like, whatever. Okay, so this is our last show for this year, and we're gonna come back in a couple of weeks after, I don't know, in Hawaii, somebody's getting his perm married to somebody else.
Yeah. So
again. In Hawaii. But anyway, we'll be back in the new year. But for this show, I just wanted to like leave it with, just the thoughts about, this whole year. So many things have changed. Coming out of the pandemic, all the stories that we had, all the dumbass things that Natsuki said. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of dumb things this year. I should just make like a supercut of all the dumb things she said over the year and post it on like New Year's Eve.
Well, that's like some of the funniest moments.
I love Natsuki. And I keep saying this. It doesn't matter what language the woman speaks. She's always like that. She says the most ridiculous things in Japanese too. The only difference is that she's faster with the comebacks and she can score points on me in Japanese.
Yeah.
But that's about it. Let's see. So if you guys had any favorite moments, whatever, comments about anything at all about the show. Like if you want to congratulate Josh on getting married again.
This time in America, so,
So especially had to get 2 marriages. We'll maybe post some pictures of that or something like that on the because I think YouTube has like a Facebook wall thing, right?
It has a post option, yeah, community option.
Maybe we'll put it in the Discord chat, whatever.
We'll see. But speaking of the Discord chat, our patrons too, a lot of them we've been talking recently, and we're also talking about if we can find the time, either doing an end of the year chat, or it might have to be early next year because I don't have much time left.
Probably be next year, but yeah, we could hang out.
Yeah,
do like a chat, do like Q&A, get Alex all liquored up.
Yeah,
he'll say things that'll be off the cuff. Dude, when he gets like Tourette's mode when he gets drunk, I'm just like, dude, you're not supposed to say things like that.
It's all that like pent up like.
There's
language.
a lot of, because he's half businessman, half samurai, right? So, and he hates it when I say that. But like, it's not only is he having to deal with, business people all the time, which is stressful, but he's also like having to like, be samurai mode as well, And so, I mean, he's got a lot on his plate. We're going to work on some new projects next year. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We'll talk about that more when they come to, when we actually can show you them. And then, it's, Happy New Year, everybody. Merry Christmas. Happy Kwanzaa, whatever you do. Hanukkah. Is Hanukkah over?
I don't know. Isn't it 7 nights or something?
It's like
7 crazy nights, Adam Sandler.
Did you put it in my video?
Oh.
We're gonna.
We'll do it after the outro.
Thanks to all of our patrons and everybody, and we're gonna leave you with a fun little video that I took from my window today.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
That's our volcano. It's covered in snow.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty fucking cool. All right, guys. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. We'll see you guys in 2023.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.